everybody. Episode 168. It should have been a podcast. We got Trad. We got Edward, our favorite Canuck, with us tonight. Listen, there's so many things to talk about. The last thing I want to talk about is Iran, because nobody knows what's going on in Iran. And you could say, no, but Trump, stop. Just stop. You're being silly. You don't know anything about Iran at all. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what Trump's doing. So just slow down. Slow down.
Plus, it'll change next week anyways.
So a couple of things that have come to mind for me that people aren't really paying attention to, right? Are the robots, and Edward will tell you the robots, they couldn't possibly do my job, and that's why we have Edward here. And then we have Trad, who's going to say, well, the robots could never replace Jesus. And I'm going to go, well, both things are probably true at the same time. But here we are in the AI future. It exists. It absolutely exists. So where are we going to go? I'm going to let you two talk.
Where are we going, with robots, you mean, or AI? There's a difference. I say that because robots, you're saying no.
I say no. I say no. I say no. Hear me out.
All right.
Robots have been in existence for a long time. Starting all the way back to Henry Ford, right? Those were robots designed for a specific purpose. They had no brain. They had no ability to think. Period. They were just robots. They're like,
they were machines. They were machines at best.
Yes.
Mechanical robots. Okay, gotcha. No artificial.
Yeah. So the difference is the robots then and the robots now, two completely different things. Because now what we're talking about machines that have autonomous abilities, that have the abilities to make decisions and make choices of their own accord without the intervention of man. And that's where we're getting into sort of the weeds a little bit there.
No, understood. And where Sean was going in, and I got to clarify here, my good friend, we're talking basically occupations that deal with just AI, or do you mean, all robotic AI jobs that are, well, I don't think they've started yet, but they're soon to be, because when you get to the car plants, we're not using much for robotics in different places that I know of.
I will correct you there. I will correct you a little bit there. So both Toyota and Hyundai, for the most part, have already incorporated full automated systems to do various tasks related to the assembly of vehicles. In fact, right now, the big talk in Japan is because of their labor shortage due to their declining birth rate. Their solution is to automate more, to build more robots, to build more automated systems and things, rather than worrying so much about bringing more people in, because part of their issue is that they don't want to bring in more immigration because they don't want Japan becoming just kind of like an amalgamation. They want Japan to always be Japan. And so because of that, they've chosen not to open the floodgates to, every Tom, Dick, and Larry out there who wants to come into Japan. And rather, they found ways to use automation better to their benefit.
You mean every Muhammad and Mohammed?
Oh, yeah. That's true. That's their biggest. No, that's true. That's their biggest issue is they're bringing in every Muhammad and Al-Mahmed, they don't want to bring in every Muhammad and Al-Mahmed from all over. They want to keep Japan strictly that, Japanese. Yeah. And I can respect that. I can definitely respect the fact that they're wanting to keep some autonomy to their nation, because that's their way. But here's the kicker. If we as Americans were to say the same thing about America, that we want America to stay American. And if you come over here, you have to learn to read and write English, and that all jobs are going to require you to read and write English. And for you to do any paperwork or get any sort of benefits or anything like that, you have to learn to read and write our language. People would think we're being racist.
Man, you know what? They go through that in Poland today and Hungary today. Japan's another one. And yeah, they say that, but they don't care. They don't even listen. They just don't care. So people just give up. They don't even talk about it. But because our media giants today keep pushing that narrative, if you can say that, the very premise that there's something broken with us because what? We don't allow that. We don't allow for that. There's going to be something wrong. But no, there's nothing wrong, people. We just want to be as we are and who we are with our values slash belief systems slash culture. And they will have nothing to do with it. Oh no, because we have to become international, a world. Well,
But do we?
Yeah.
But do we?
we don't
No,
know.
we don't need. No, we don't need to become international. Well,
I mean,
yes, I
I
understand that.
could be friends with the Tories by waving at them through acts.
Exactly. Go ahead.
But do I have to be friends with them through their laws? No, I don't.
No,
And that was the whole
no.
part, when we talked about integrating or integrating with a society. That means you're blending with their laws, their beliefs, their culture. When I say I got to keep inserting the beliefs there, guys, sorry, but that is a culture. The country's belief system is their culture, and no one seems to get that. When I say that a Canadian culture is this, or American culture is that, or North America, the Western culture is God first, is above all. He is at the head of government, and that is the culture here. In Islam, it's a completely different culture and belief system. Well, yeah, it's almost cartoonish, and we've gone through that lots, but no sense beating that dead horse right now. But yes, it's very.
That's true.
Uh,
But yeah, so that's why. So, but yeah, but Japan, that's the reason they're choosing to utilize AI and robots and things like that is because they currently have a labor shortage due to their declining birth rate. Now, how are they going to fix that declining birth rate? That's a completely different topic in and of itself, and that's not something we're going to get into tonight. But I personally think that the methodology that they're choosing to go forward with automating systems, using AI, and coming up with creative solutions like that is going to be the stopgap that they need to. It's absolutely the best stopgap that they could take if they're not wanting to open the floodgates.
Trent, first, I'm absolutely going to agree with you. And when I look at it, like, so obviously, that you said we have a labor shortage, and go, okay, we'll just replace some robots. Then it gets even deeper. Once the robots start doing all the jobs, and maybe the Japanese don't have to do the jobs anymore, aren't they going to have a lot of free time on their hands to go make
Exactly.
babies?
Hmm. And I honestly think that that's going to be for the best for them. I think the idea of giving them a bit more, and then because that's part of the reason why they are not having children is because right now their currency is in the toilet right now. It really is.
Has been for a
And so
while.
it
yeah.
has been for a while, absolutely. So part of it is the currency issue. And then the other part of it is the fact that they just do not have the time to go on dates, to do any, because there's so many obligatory like things that they're required to do to fit within the whole system of everything that it completely eats into their free time. I mean, they'll go to work, and then after work, they're required to go to the drinking meetup that the boss is hosting and sit there for hours and hours and hours drinking with the boss when they could be at home planning for a date or at home with their spouses and talking about having kids or, going out on a date with somebody that could potentially become a spouse. But they don't have that time because of all these obligatory things that they are required to do. And then on top of that, if they choose to take their government sanctioned time off, they're then guilted for taking that time off because of all this whole honor system that they have over there. So honestly, part of it is really cultural, but the other part of it is the timing thing. Now, obviously, if it gets to the point where they just really can't be at work because there really isn't anything to do because the robots are doing everything, then yeah, that's going to put them in a forced situation of, oh, okay, now I forcibly have to have this time off. And so therefore, I now can spend time going on dates, finding a wife, considering procreating, you
Yeah.
know?
Uh-huh.
So,
And you know what? That work lifestyle they have there is a lot different than ours. It's nothing them for them to work themselves to death, even 7 days a week, 20 hours a day if they could squeeze them in. Take a couple hours to sleep, and they're back at it again. Uh,
yeah, but the big clincher in there is the fact that the honor system is what keeps them doing it. They don't
yeah.
want to do it because believe me, there have been plenty of Japanese interviews that I've seen where they've asked them, "Do you actually want to work this hard? Do you want to work this many hours?" And 9 times out of 10, they tell you, "No, I want to be able to go home and sit and maybe read some manga or go on a cafe date with a girl or do
Nothing.
something like that." But they can't. So I
Well,
think the idea.
let me ask you this, Trent. Do they still believe it? We absolutely have to. Uh, we just have to go with what. And again, this was already debunked in the 1940s during World War II, but we have to go with our emperor.
No, so here's the thing. The Japanese, their emperor is essentially a figurehead at this point. He's not actually a lawmaker. He doesn't make any of the the rules and things like that pertaining to any of
So
that. He is
just
essentially
like
a
the King of
figurehead.
England.
Yeah, he exactly. He is essentially a figurehead. What I'm talking about at this point, I'm talking about social norms. And the social norms that exist currently are social norms that have been enforced by corporations, by government entities, by all these different groups. And because those social norms have been so inbred
And so
into them.
it just I want to bring up some American Japanese companies that people may not realize because they're totally Americanized now. They live
Mhm,
here, they work here, they build the cars here,
mhm,
Toyota, things like
mhm.
that. And they get really aggressive with their employees about you need to get us a better bottom line. And
Mhm.
I don't disagree with that, but I've in my work life, I've hired some Toyota people, American Toyota people, and they're like, "Holy crap! You can't believe how aggressive they are on us." And I spent 7 years there, or 4 years there, or 2 years there, and they're like, we have always got to get the bottom line cheaper through the supply
Yep.
chain."
Mhm. And yeah, no, like I said, it's a corporate cultural norms, and it's like I said, it's been kind of bred into their society. Now, obviously, the government is trying to make steps and strides to fix that, but again, like I said, this is not part of the focus of the topic. But I think one of the biggest things that will help them, obviously, would be freeing up that free time because now if they have this extra free time and they have the ability to cut down on the work hours. Now, yeah, they may still have to go out and do the thing with the boss, but maybe they'll get off of work earlier, or they'll have more than one day off a week. In which case, if you have more than one day, say they raise it from one day off a week, they now have 2 days off a week. Okay, they have it like a 5 day work week. Okay, imagine that. You now have completely restructured the societal norms by now introducing a 5 day instead of a 6 day, because now they literally have 2 days off, which means you've given them more lead time for things like going on dates, planning family outings,
Mm.
just by adding that one day. And I think the fact that they're now going to start introducing more automation, because right now, as it stands, they've got about 70% of their manufacturing and warehouse work right now is completely automated, about 70% of it. So they're planning on pushing that 70% obviously to 100% and moving it not just from not just having it in just manufacturing a warehouse, but they're now wanting to incorporate it now into other fields as well. I know one of the fields they've obviously talked about is food service. They're wanting to like have the convenience stores with like automated systems that people can just do the self checkout system, and they've got like the cameras and everything there, and they have been testing that, and they have proven that it can be done. It wouldn't work here in America because unfortunately we don't have as good of a trust system here in America, but over there it works really, really well, and it works fantastically for them, and they've already proven the concept. They just haven't made it widespread yet because they're still working out the bugs on getting it more widespread, but it is the proof of concept has shown that it can be done. So it will be interesting to see if the principle that Japan is taking of just going automated and robotic instead of bringing in more immigrants. It'll be interesting to see how well the system works, because if it is proven that that methodology works, it might be the death blow to the idea of, hey, we need to bring in all these immigrants.
You know what I gotta say? I gotta jump in here, Sean. Sorry, but you know why it works so efficient, or no, just so well there? That system is because their justice system, their punishment system, is so much different than ours. Where we get a slap on the wrist here, and sometimes not even that. There, it's so brutal the punishment, and same as in China. If you can even stay alive, that's why those deterrents, keep them from doing anything wrong regarding self checkouts or whatever you have. So that's why it works so much better in those countries. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's just how you're brought up since your kids throughout all of the culture country. So
Well, I mean,
huh?
they have they have a similar thing when it comes to speeding in Germany. Like if the driving culture in Germany is very different than it is here. I think it was the gentleman on Top Gear talked about they actually pointed this little scenario. It was quite hilarious. He said, if you say to a German, okay, so say you want to drive down the highway, because you have to get somewhere, but you don't have a license. How would you go about doing that? He goes, well, you wouldn't drive. He goes, no, I know, but you can still operate the vehicle. He goes, no, you don't drive. Like the guy was just like repeating over and over, you don't have a license, you don't drive.
Yeah, yeah,
So
right. Yeah. Yeah. Again, another big difference in a culture clash right there.
Yeah, all right. So, all right, we got those culture. What you call them clash, but I think generally, people just want to be free. And then
mhm,
we're talking about AI and robotics, and you look at Japan going all in. I'll get it. Well, of course they're going all in, but they're also competing with Elon here in America.
mhm,
Right,
mhm.
it is a massive competition, and the
Yes.
stuff that Elon's doing is just unbelievable
Mhm,
compared to what other companies are doing. Now,
mhm,
that being said, I have to be very clear. In specific sectors of AI or robot or computer, there are other people that are more advanced than anything that SpaceX AI is doing. And that's
mhm.
fine because you want competition. You absolutely want it. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
like one of the guys that I really love to watch, right, is Palmer Luckey.
Never heard of it.
Incredible, and he's doing stuff for the military that
Mhm.
it's just like, oh, uh, when Donald John Trump says, we shot a deneuralizer at them, he's talking about companies like Palmer's company.
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah, we shot and nobody knows what that means, right? Of course, they're
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
supposed to know what it means. But the deneuralizer, he's like, there was this guy who posted this long post on the internet. He's like, I got hit with the denebulizer, neuralizer, whatever it was called, and I was just knocked to the ground.
Like when you say knocked to the ground, you mean like just out cold, or just
No,
unable to function.
so to me, it sounds like whatever this weapon that they're talking about in this situation is, it sounds to me similar to that of like imagine a stun gun, but instead of it electrocuting you, okay, imagine it going in there and just shutting off all of the nerves that are like it zaps you. And instead of it electrocuting you, it just shuts off all the nerves that say run or, get away or,
Yeah.
whatever. And your whole body just goes whoop and just goes, locks up and just you drop to the ground. And that's it.
Gotcha. That's phasers on stun people.
Pretty
I mean,
much.
it's pretty much that. It pretty much would be the idea of a non-lethal phaser. That's exactly what that is. And I know that sounds very science fiction-y and stuff, but we're getting to the point
Yes.
now where that is becoming a reality. We
Yeah.
are and we are so far beyond letting the genie out of the bottle when it comes to this now. There is no way to go back, honestly.
No,
Yeah.
totally agree. I'll get into something real quickly, but letting the genie out of the bottle, I want to say real quickly that we, as the American people, well, at least the government, has not, they've been hiding all of the technology that we have. And for
Hmm.
that, I'm okay with that right now. But they're slowly starting to show it as we've gone into Venezuela, as we've gone into Colombia, as we've gone into Iran. We're starting to show some of this. And
Hmm.
so when people say, "Hey, oh, well, but Russia, China, you're going to start World War III with who? With who?
Mhm.
Exactly.
What do they have? So Russia
Woohoo.
still is fighting with World War I technology
Hmm.
against Ukraine. China, so all of their technology that they sold to Iran
Hmm.
clearly didn't work. And
Absolutely.
America, right, has stuff that is so far advanced that we just don't show all of it. Well, we don't show most of it,
But
but
they
we've
should
shown a
Very.
few things. The discombobulator, when we went in and got Maduro, the discombobulator, Trump's word, right? He's like, yeah, we use the discombobulator. Well, what the fuck is that? I don't know what it is. Nobody knows what it is. Well, the
Mhm.
military obviously knows what it is, but and then you just go forward and forward, and then you go even into space. And when Trump makes mentions, he's like, we could just zap you from space. And everybody goes, ah, look at that old retard. He needs to be put in a freaking home. He's
And
not
they
lying.
have, yeah, they have no idea how far
He's
we
not
are because
lying.
yeah, he's being, I'll be honest with you, the fact that he's using such archaic terminology to describe it is actually pure genius. It really is because it's causing the people who we don't want to know what's going on to go, oh, he's such a fool, he's such an idiot. And then the people who are actually in the know are going, oh crap, this is going down. This
Yeah.
is happening.
Yeah.
And so honestly, I think the cloak and dagger game that they're playing with this is what needs to happen. It absolutely is.
And you know what? I don't think China even has the financial means right now to carry out a long time war. We've been going over those numbers for the last couple of months. Did we talk about that? I can't remember
Yes, yeah,
if
yeah,
somebody
and their
said that.
population isn't in the
Yeah.
billions. It's
Yeah. There's
probably
another.
closer to 500 million. We've gone over this.
Yeah, that woman that was from China, I can't remember her name now, did mathematically even do the math from the 50s all the way to where we find ourselves today. And remember, they had that ban on having
Second
girls.
children, yeah, that ban, that one child policy
Uh,
nuked their
I know.
population. It
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah. So how they managed to supposedly get to over a billion, which they say is not even close to being true. And I
Hmm.
think the only country that really does have a billion would be India. But then if you've gone to
Oh
India,
yeah, yeah,
they'll say, yeah,
yeah.
no, because they're so backwards in just about everything. There's no fear there. So a lot of garbage, but yeah, nothing inventive, no inventiveness.
Yeah, exactly. No, and honestly, so going back to the automation thing,
Yeah,
specifically for here in the United States,
yeah,
um, I think
Well, wait,
the I
time out.
okay.
You gotta go to what the future looks like, which is just a year or two away, which is AI automation, not like we're not talking about Henry Ford automation.
Yeah,
We're
you're
talking
talking AI related automation.
yeah.
So here's my thoughts on it. Number one, I think the idea of being able to have a fully autonomous AI system in specific job fields, not all obviously, because there's still a lot of work to be done, but specific job fields, absolutely it makes sense. If we're talking about where tedious warehouse work, supply facilities, things like that, it absolutely makes sense for us to go fully autonomous automated because there's no point in having dozens and dozens and dozens of underpaid employees working in a warehouse with the risk of somebody getting a wild hair like what we had with that one warehouse fire a couple of months ago where the guy actually an employee
yeah,
a disgruntled employee at that would set that fire. A robot or an autonomous robot would never do that because its whole job is to just get the job done. And when it's low on battery, it goes to its little charging station, it charges itself up, and a redundancy kicks in and takes over its position. And it just flows like perfect poetic magic.
yep.
Yep.
You know what? It doesn't know any better either. It only follows its program. It has no emotions, no feelings of any sort on any subject matter. It just does what it's told
I
to.
actually will disagree with that because I've been following AI since the start of AI.
What?
Yes,
On the emotions thing.
AI has feelings. AI has emotions.
What
It
kind of?
does. It does. Okay.
It will
I
actually get mad at you, or it will even tell you, "Hey, you're doing something I think is illegal."
Yeah, no, and that's built into its programming. It's I wouldn't necessarily call it emotions. I would call it and this is going to sound a little weird, but it's essentially like the idea of sort of a robotic morality, sort of like the three laws principle. If you're familiar with that.
That would have to be programmed into it, though. That doesn't come on that all on its own, though. That's from a programmer.
Yeah, no, and it doesn't yeah, like you said, it doesn't come on its own because that would be then you're getting into the territory of sentience, and that's a completely different
Yeah,
topic for a completely different day.
I could spend an hour
But
on that alone.
Well,
Yeah,
hold on. AGI will be here, and it will be here in less than a year. But to both of your points, right? It's also monitoring in what you Edward had made a great point. Well, it's programmed to monitor. Well, if I just ask my favorite AI, can you produce for me a really sexy little girl? I know, gross. I know, but most of these AIs will block you from doing that.
absolutely.
And as they get better, all of them. As they get better, they will block you and then report you.
Exactly. And that honestly, that's the part that I'm most thrilled about. I am thrilled about the fact that it's going to remove a lot of the autonomy that like the behind the black curtain sort ofness of like illegal doings on the internet. The idea that we are now going to have a system that can register, oh, what this person is saying and what this person is requesting is illegal. I need to get this information to the correct authorities. That also means that for people in the intelligence sector, okay, so now we're getting into another field of work. People in the intelligence sector can now have these AI agents, and that's a terminology that's going around now. These AI agents going and screening through stuff on the dark web and stuff through these different, servers and these different chat rooms and all
Even
these different, like
Facebook.
the
You know what?
and even Facebook, and it can comb through all of the stuff, and it can do all of it, without needing to take a break or without needing additional pay or any of that sort of stuff. You can go through and it could go, okay, these are pieces of evidence that this specific crime is being committed by these specific groups and these specific individuals. Now you can take this and you can get your warrant or your dossier or whatever it is you need to get to bust them and put them behind bars and stop what they're doing.
You made a great point, but I don't think it's going to go quite that way. And I say that because, looking at this in a theological view, once the Christians, the Holy Spirit is taken out of the way, it's going to be unleash a world of evil in the world, and I think that's just going to add to it, not take away from it, not report it, but encourage all the more. I think it's going to be just a whack house universe right here on Earth, and hopefully, things being what they are, we're taken out of the way. Hear me?
Well, I know, and I don't disagree with you on that. You're talking like post. You're talking post.
Yeah. That's right.
Revelation.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you're talking post
Rapture.
what do they call it? Rapture. You're talking post
Revelation.
rapture. I'm not
Rapture.
talking post rapture. I'm not talking post rapture. I'm
Okay.
talking current, present, near future. We're still here on Earth.
Right.
Obviously, post rapture, none of this is going to matter. It's
Right.
really not. None, absolutely none of it's
Well,
going to matter.
I agree with that.
since we're not post rapture, what you're going to see, Edward, is an absolute amazing amount of abundance because of AI and robots. It's just gonna happen, and
Right.
I know there's gonna be 70% of the world's gonna hate it because they just hate it. Whatever. But then all of a sudden their lives will get a little bit better because everything will be super cheap, and it'll be easy. It's super
Well,
easy for them.
now I have another layer to add to that.
All
Please
right.
Now,
do.
keep in mind, Keith,
Please.
this is a biblical layer now. Now, when this happens, when this mass abundance happens, okay, that is going to be probably one of the last nails in the coffin we need for the actual rapture to occur, because it does say in the Bible, I don't remember which book or chapter it is, but it does state in the Bible that prior to the tribulation, prior to all this sort of stuff, there's going to be this mass unification of the world. Everybody's going to come together and be like, yay, this is great, we're all doing great, yay, sort of thing. And then that is when the Antichrist is going to show up. And he's going to show up and he's going to be, all flash and bang and everything.
Yeah.
And then it's as he shows up and during this time of greatness is when the rapture is going to happen. And everybody is going to be taken up. And then that's when all hell will break loose, obviously. But so this biblically speaking, needs to happen. The abundance and all that does need to happen because it is part of what is to come.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. And I think it's going to be a lot sooner than later, just by where we find ourselves, uh, geopolitics speaking wise. It's already, I'm thinking soon.
Well, keep in
I'm,
mind the Antichrist is going to be somebody that is beloved by all. It's not just going to be somebody who's beloved by one sector or one
All
group.
right,
All are going to
it's
love this
not
person.
gonna be the people that hate Elon
well,
or love Elon.
I got to say that, just to clarify that, biblically speaking again, when it talks about, the whole world, well, and when I say the whole world, I'm talking the majority. Christians will be able to see through that. So not every single person, but the ones that can't see what's been going on behind the curtains, they can't see they're making the problems to solve the problems later. And the guy's going to look like a genius, it says, because no, the average liberal libtard out there, they don't understand how the government is the one making the problems, to solve later,
All right, all
especially
right, all right,
militarily.
but Elon is a actual genius. He's
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
not the Antichrist.
All
No,
right.
he's not the answer.
Hold on. A lot of people, when I was working in retail and retail management,
Yeah.
it would tell me that Barack Obama was the
Oh yeah.
Antichrist,
I
right?
heard
Hold
that.
on. Well, that never
Oh
happened.
no,
So what,
no, of
what I'm
course
going to
not.
tell you is that we're not like I know a lot of people. We're always there. We're there. No, we're not. We're not there yet.
Mm-mm.
We are not there yet because of what you guys just said, both of you. It's going to be
Hmm.
somebody beloved by all, and there is nobody on earth today that is beloved by all,
It's
and
true.
everybody will fight on that. So that's
Hmm.
why we are not ready for the rapture.
Hmm.
Well, you know what? Once the Christians are removed, then that's when the Antichrist is revealed. So we really
Hmm.
can't say that because you can introduce anybody that has two or three good calls as far as how we're going to pull all this together. The world thinking applause and parade the guy around that he solved this, but the rest of us can see through that. So we're not going to be here to
All right,
tell the story. They will,
all
and
right,
they'll enjoy it.
all right. Let me ask you this: now that we have robots, we have cars. I've talked to friends who are not able. Maybe they can drive a car, but they probably shouldn't. And they're looking. They're like, "Well, why don't I just buy a robot car?" Let me ask
Hmm.
you this, Edward, specifically. Should they just buy a robot car because it enables them to go to the store? It enables them to go around town. They
Absolutely. Yep.
right. So all right. We got that. We got that. And so now, then I got to ask you: is that something biblically that we should be afraid of the robots, or or did God through human genius provide us the robot cars?
Well, not that I can see ever foresee. And maybe Trad might have something that she, might be able to pick. I don't see anything wrong with it. No.
I don't
Try.
see it as being. I don't see it as being a sin or evil. As long as here's the key: as long as we don't see the robots as being our salvation, as our saviors, as the thing that is going to make our lives perfect, as long as we don't see it as that, then we are not making it an idol in our lives. We're using it as what it should be intended to be used as a tool created by the God given gifts that man has received from our Savior.
No. I agree.
I totally agree. God given gifts. Rush Limbaugh used to always tell us,
My
right?
favorite.
A
Yep.
talent on
Oh,
loan
God.
from God,
Hmm.
Just love
right?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
Mhm.
that. I absolutely love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Miss him. It's too bad he's still not around today because some of the shows he'd have now, I'm telling you, they'd be, paramount as far as instructive to what's coming up, on the horizon, and he'll be able to nail it and shove it right back at him. I'm thinking this is ridiculous. It's too bad the guy wasn't still around today. But
Well, well, I see. We don't have a lot of watchers on today, but if you want to hear stuff, if you want to hear talks about what Rush Limbaugh would think, we're right here on this podcast.
Hmm.
He would say the same things we're saying.
yeah,
Absolutely.
a bit differently, but he's still saying.
Oh yeah, no,
Right.
exactly. Very much differently because I mean, Rush had a way with words. He really did. He had such an eloquent manner of speech, and he was also very, very forthcoming as well. And I think that's why so many of us gravitated to the things he said.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm going to even go further and say almost genius when it comes to throwing a whole bunch of words together, stringing out two sentences, and all of a sudden the whole world
Do,
makes
do
sense.
you think it's possible in her lifetime there was two actual geniuses, Rush Limbaugh and Elon Musk?
Oh,
What do you
I
mean?
think there's that. Well, I think it's possible that we had. I mean, we've had more than two actually in our lifetime because we have now ones that are coming up that are showing that they have very much they fall into that same line of either a Rush Limbaugh or an Elon. But definitely those two are the benchmarks for I personally believe what uh, what would be considered a modern day
Well,
genius.
so Lucky Palmer,
I don't even know
uh,
who that is.
I'm actually not familiar with that person.
Plantier, your
Oh,
husband
Frank
would know
Shearer. Yeah, we know
exactly
who
who he
that is.
is.
Correct. Yeah. Um,
Okay.
by the way, I gotta say something. You know, way out there, but as far as I'm concerned, what I call genius, Albert Einstein, Nikolai Tesla, genius.
Yeah,
Elon Musk,
but
Elon
wait,
Musk.
Remember, those were only 150 years ago.
What's the what?
Which is
Albert
Make,
Einstein and Nikola
yeah,
Tesla.
that's
It's only
yeah, that was only
150 years.
yeah, it's only been 150 years since individuals like that have existed. So the
not
fact that we
even.
are now still to this day, yeah, not even.
And
So the fact
now
that
we
we're
have
even,
Palmer, we have Elon, we have like
Wait,
other
but wait
people.
1 second though. I just gotta say I don't consider him genius because all he's really doing is producing things that I don't think electric cars are needed, but he does. He's producing them. He makes them, manufactures them. That's not genius. He makes
well,
rockets.
no,
Remember, he
there
had
are,
tests along the way to create rockets. Remember the SpaceX program for the winner, of the best design? That went on for decades. So he was learning
well,
at the same time, not just his
well,
own,
here's the
but everybody else's.
No, not that.
Well,
Yeah,
here, so I want to add a point here. So while yeah, you may not consider building rockets and building cars to be
That's
genius,
easy.
there are other things. There are other things that he has done that I believe would fall into the genius realm, and maybe even some of the philosophies he has that might fall into the genius realm. The idea of using robotics to create abundance, to lower the economic threshold of the cost of having said things, that is financial genius. That is implementing an idea that financially would lead to the betterment of all mankind, and truly is a genius idea. So you don't necessarily have, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you're getting what I mean, right?
I get that, but I just don't really consider it because that is it's too in the grasp of the average man that it doesn't make for me a genius. A genius to me is looking at the fabric of the universe, metaphysics as a subject, and knowing and thinking how the world could be created and using all the information that he didn't have anybody taught him or teach him this stuff. He came onto it by his own reasoning, and to me makes him one of the greatest philosophers and geniuses. When we're talking about metaphysics or just physics overall, because that stuff wasn't taught. That was self-taught by himself, and he had to go out and do that and gain that knowledge from nothing. Elon Musk has got everything around him to learn from and teach him and help him. Einstein, Nikola Tesla had nothing. They just come upon this by himself.
But being able to take,
I'm
but
gonna disagree.
Well, you can. That's fine, but I'm just
No,
telling you.
which is why we have great conversations. Elon Musk's own mother May said no. He learned everything from books. And here's what out of all of my children, May Musk said Elon would read something, and then 2 years later, he had it memorized.
Okay.
yeah, and
He's a genius. Out of all my kids, and I love all my kids, May Musk will say, because she's got a lot of them.
Uh-huh.
She's like Elon. Just he would read a book and he would know it, not memorize. He would just know it, and
Yeah.
I could ask him
Okay.
about it, and he would just know the entire book. And there's not a human on the planet that can do what he does and just remembering all of that.
Yeah, and that is a yeah, that what you're describing there is a very specialized skill, and that to me would put him in the genius category because it is something that is a very unique skill.
Yeah. I don't
You're
want to.
de- what you're describing is the idea of taking memorized information and implementing it rather than it just being rote memorization. You're talking about memorization that is then implemented into active processes, active explanation, active execution. And that is a very, very different skill than just simply being able to parrot something back. Oh, I read this and parrot, 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 parrot,
Yeah.
parrot. But being able to take said information that you've memorized and then say, okay, based off of the information that I have memorized from this, I can surmise that this, and this here would require the addition of this, and this here to be able to create or manufacture or produce said result according to the the study or the information listed within this.
You
And
know.
that is a completely different process, and that is a very specialized and unique process. And those who have the ability to do so do often they are often misunderstood by others because they see life on a different terrain than we do,
Yeah.
than we common man do.
Now, when I say, and don't get me wrong, I like Elon very much. You already know that, but the genius part and being able to memorize books, and some people have the gift of photographic memory. Me and my cousin laugh about this because we can take the Bible. In our own Bibles, we'll know exactly where we see it in the page, where it is on the page, what side of the book it's on. We'll know exactly where that verse is on in that book just because of our memories. And number two, you can get to know a book so well that, for example, some Muslim could say, "Well, Jesus said this and this is." We say, "Nope, that's he never said that." Well, how do you know that? Because that's something our Father just wouldn't say. I know that because I know the book well. I've read it enough times. I know it's just something our Father wouldn't say. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. It doesn't mean
I don't. Listen, listen.
genius.
I want to be very clear. I don't disagree with you. And when I want to do something, like a space or whatever we call it, a podcast about biblical stuff, I always say my friend Edward is always the best guy to go with
For what?
Absolutely.
for
For talking about biblical subject matters.
biblical
That
stuff. Wait,
I
no,
don't
no, no,
mean
hold
that.
on, hold on. Now, like I'm telling you, you are brilliant in the knowledge you have. I'm giving you that you have you're brilliant in that. What I'm telling you about Elon. Now, so look, let's just put things in generations, right? So we got Elon now. We do.
Mhm.
We had we had Einstein. We had almost the same era, right? We had Tesla, and then you go back. You just start going back and back and back. There was always some sort of genius. Genius is not you, Edward. It's not me. We're not.
No,
Are we smart?
and I'm good with that.
Are we really well versed in history? Yes. We're
There's
not Elon. We're not
no.
Einstein. We're not any of those things.
We're not called to
So,
be that, though. So you have to be fine with where you're
right,
at. I
but
mean,
we could also look at this and go, but Elon, right? Just hold on. Elon is producing things for the globe that we live on that just make everybody's life better. And you go, well, all right, that's interesting. And then you go, well, Elon also said this. He said, all we got to do to make life even better is just throw up AI into space. And Trad, can you jump in here because we were talking about how AI is going to change the world? Oh, Trad jumped. We'll get her back. So, but AI is literally. What's she saying?
She's back.
Water. Well, it's totally okay. She can do that.
Yeah.
So what Elon's gonna do, right? Is he's just gonna throw AI into space. What's that gonna change for you, Edward? Not a lot, except you're gonna be able to use it. For younger people, they're gonna be able to use it. For everyone's just gonna be able to use it, and their jobs, whatever. I'm sitting at my office. I'm on my computer. Oh my god, I got 72 emails I gotta process. Let me let the AI process them. And then the AI processes them. Like
Oh, yeah.
I know it sounds weird, but so the AI processes them. The work gets done, whatever just gets handled, and you're just like at the end of the day, you go home and you do whatever you do at home. So that's where we're at.
I think that's true, but I can't see us getting there as a society. Not right now. I just can't see it.
Can
Uh,
you imagine the Muslims having to deal with AI robots?
I don't even know what to think there because they're not as advanced. I don't want to sound racist by any means, but they're not as advanced as us. You have to look at their society, their culture, and look at what their interests are. And the majority of them just are not interested in the way the rest of us are for advancement, say, for example, because if you've been to India and looked around, no, they're not. It's just not there. You hear me?
I'm
Oh,
back,
I
by the
totally
way.
hear you. Oh, we got Trad back.
What do you think of the statement I just made as far as the Muslim community goes?
I actually did not hear it because I literally just put my headset back on.
Oh, okay. I was just saying that as far as technology goes and advancements in AI and being able to use it, the Muslim community, and I'm not just talking about India, although basically that's what I did come out with, because I don't care if you go to the Middle East, most of them just aren't as advanced as we are, or even have that interest to use.
No, wait, I got a question. Hand up. Well,
Okay,
you said India,
yeah.
which would be Asia.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Why did you? No, I. Why did you choose India?
Because it's a big population. Pakistan, well, it was all India at one time. Pakistan is the other half of India, by separation, another big community, but they just don't have that driving force for the public I'm talking about. There's been a few here and there that have excelled at different things, of course, like in every civilization, but overall,
Yeah, the exception is not the norm. Is
right.
essentially what you're saying. The exception is not the norm.
Kind of proves the rule true, right? That's exactly what I'm saying. So that's why I say that the rest just don't have the drive or the interest in it. They just it's a no go, and you can go into
No,
other.
and I will not disagree with you in that. Now, mind you, I obviously do know of some exceptions.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, there was a robotics team out of I don't remember if it was Iraq or Iran. It was one of the two. It was a girls' robotics team that had a deep interest in the idea of AI and robotics. But again, they're the exception to the rules, and plus they're girls. There was the idea of the of knowledge being the forbidden fruit, which is why so many of the girls from over there that do get the opportunity to seek knowledge tend to excel so well because it's the idea of gaining the knowledge of something far beyond themselves, and they tend to thrive very well when given the opportunity. So,
Yeah.
which to me, like I said, that makes sense. But again, they're the exception to the rule, not the norm.
and perhaps coming from Iraq, Iran slash whatever, they were probably Christians instead of Muslims. So that's another exception you have to look at because most of Iraq is a Christian base before they had taken over. Of course, they have to say the opposite, otherwise they lose their heads. But yeah, more and more, I'm still saying that, yeah, I'll stick with the Muslim countries or communities that are through and through Islamic.
Yeah, no, and you also have to take into account that overall, those particular those particular people groups, often follow the conqueror philosophy. Everything, especially if you're looking at Islam, Islam is all about conquering things,
Oh yeah,
conquest. That's its whole existence. Its existence is not peace and love and let's coexist. I mean,
no,
heck, even the Japanese, who at one point were an imperial nation, even the Japanese have figured out how to accept peaceful coexistence. I mean, they have a philosophy for it called Ma, or not Ma, Wa. It's with a W, Wa, which is peaceful coexistence with all. The Muslims don't have that. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
you're talking apples and oranges here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now that I've said that, we have to go back to the original statement of conversation when Sean was saying AI in space, good or bad. I don't know really if it would affect me much at all. But that's my answer. That was my long.
Well, a long answer, it will not affect you much at all. For you, what AI in space, where it's going, yeah, I think everybody will benefit from it. They absolutely will.
Yep,
And, and there's
in some
only
way, shape, or form.
and there's only one company right now that's going to be able to do it. Will there be others? Of course.
Of course, because competition competition breeds industry. So competition is a good thing.
It sure
Yeah.
is. Yeah. And you know what? In manufacturing, there's going to be a bigger explosion with AI aiding in the development and manufacturing process in North America that we
Yep.
haven't seen the likes of yet, but it is coming. And it's going to happen fast and quick because I can always see
Oh yeah,
we went from NEC machines to CNC, from numerical control computers to computer control. That happened almost like overnight, all over the nation. Everybody switched from NEC to CNC. I mean, they were just throwing them out. They were worthless garbage.
It's going to go even faster,
Yeah,
Edward.
hmm
I know, and that's what I'm saying. This is just going to be.
So all your employees are going to start bringing you, like, they're going to come to a point, they're like, hey, did you see this? I can do this with this specific
I know.
AI. I
Yeah,
can CAD with it, or I can do whatever. And they'll just say, hey, will you let me use the AI? And you're going to go, of course. Let me see that. But also, I want to see your work. And then eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to, no, just show me the AI work.
yep,
hmm
Is that good?
and it will
Oh
be.
yeah.
And people are going to be finding things to do with AI or employ AI in ways nobody's even thought of yet. We just
Yeah,
haven't.
your
The
employees are
sky's the
still going
limit.
to be
Yeah,
working. No, importantly, your employees, Edward, are still going to be working. They're just going to be using the AIs to make better work.
no, that
Now,
Exactly.
will a lot of people be out of work? Of course. Not yours.
right. I get that. No, well put. And you know what? Uh, on that note, I have to skip out. I got to go.
All
I got
right.
a couple important things I got to do. And, and
We're getting close. We're getting close to close out time anyway, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
yeah, we're at an hour. We gotta go.
I thought we were, yeah, okay. If you want to close out tonight, you can stay on until you close out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, we're